challenges of coming together are also equally well known. That is also not a rocket science. So if you can find a way.
So my line, what I am trying to put forward or show or address via this is, if we can find a way to create a so-called win-win situation by which the people, those who are looking forward to Auroville in terms of learning landscape and many learning requirement what Auroville has, if we can try to match it in some way, if we could organize ourselves up to that extent, because many activities on that nature projects are happening where this two-way learning can benefit us immensely. Something more on those lines, I am trying to keep it. So planning is an act of synthesization, hence act of yoga. This also I realized after being for more than 10 years in planning, how challenging it is. So because it is synthesization, all the layers, whether the layers of the land, water, soil, percolation, all multiple layers, social, human behavior, famous human factor, multiple things which come, all of them needs to be synthesized together. And this is more of also my personal reading, hence it is an act of yoga. Also not so simple. I mean, things are not supposed to be simple here either way. So envisioning and developing integral planning and development capacity. I'm using the word capacity here particularly. The 50 years what we have done, what happened, if we can term it as a phase 1, there has been a physical living base or a physical plane preparation, which is incredible resource, living proof of how degraded environment which was there can be revived, which is a very good message even not only for us, for even rest of the world. We have entered clearly, we have already entered into an organizational phase which we can call also Mother's Integral Education framework if we see, physical, mental, vital, spiritual and psychic. So even if you relate with that, we are clearly entering into an organizational stage where we need to learn how to organize better, as simple as that. So I'm just trying to link 3-4 elements, aspects together. So it's a bit mixed again, so I hope you can relate well with that. This, what is happening today is another living lab test opportunity for co-creation, the way I see. Many such efforts have happened in the past. So this also I keep quoting and saying, it's a very simple, practical thing. Either you have a proposal or you have to follow somebody's proposal. This is a normal, what happens in life in any situation, as simple as that. When your mother even asks at times in the house, what would you like to have for dinner? So if you have something, you just say it. Otherwise, she will anyway cook something, which you will have to eat. So in this case, as a community, as a society, if we have some say, we need to learn how to come together, organize, collaborate, and bring it out in a proposal range. Not too diverse a thing. So we should also be able to cook our dish. Otherwise, it is very complicated. We have a history of 50 years learning all that. So Auroville needs to evolve organizational system in much more enhanced, effective way to meet its internal and related bioregional development, contextual needs and challenges. It's a natural need for an hour. So I'm trying to relate 2-3 things together. I hope it makes some sense and input for the people working on this. How external situations are mirroring the need to learn to collaborate, I have already emphasized, and creating a culture of collaboration for better organization. I'm taking to take you to the one of the first, the rather recent study which was done. So I have been collaborating with one particular planning institute called School of Urban and Regional Planning, Canada, in Kingston. They have come to Auroville for 5 years. I did few winter programs with CEPT also. Many other colleges have been coming, but in a bit different note. Learning exchanges have been of different order. My exchanges with the students in different form, got a chance to interact, talk to more than 25,000 students while I'm in Auroville. Many people have been collaborating on those. So, but more substantial ones, what I would call, have been some of these. So there were 5 studios. The first one was, so this also, first one was mirroring the input which came from also Mr. Doshi. So I'll come to that. So how Auroville's outreach approach and surrounding visitors and impact rapidly increasing tourist and visitor related activities. These activities relate to Auroville's growth direction, planning development, green belt, village growth, economy employment, learning activities, Auroville's further higher education, security, mobility, resource use. This is in reference to the previous study which I mentioned, Auroville's tourist management framework. How many people use or share this area? Approximately. So learners short term, those who have been coming, guests staying in Auroville, these are approximate numbers which have been acquired from various sources within Auroville. The workers, we are touching more than 6,000 workers, volunteers and interns, Auroville population approximately in 6 villages in the green belt, with which this is the setup with which we are sharing this area. So this is yearly. So there is a bit of a glitch, you can say, when we relate to Auroville population. So either we multiply it by 365, I am not sure, but this is to give you an indicative reference. What is the contextual? Another interesting thing is, till when this study was done, there were almost 7 lakh plus visitors which were coming per year. And if you put that into this context, this yearly population is, it really dwarfs that. So that shows you the dynamics. When we talk about ground realities,
is the space between volunteers and interns intentional?
no, just to give a sense that this is Auroville population, Auroville Masterplan, no? Auroville's own population and the 6 villages which are in the green belt which are part of Masterplan. Just a kind of a visual separation. So we are sharing the resources, area, activities which is generating mobility, change in land use pattern, water consumption, solid waste management, all multiple things which we are discussing. This is already in a much greater operation which is happening presently. You may identify this. I referred to this yesterday. Some of you might have visited. You know Hoj Khas? It was a very poor, unorganized village. How shiny it is. It happened in, I don't, less than 10 years. It might have picked up this. Another image? Anybody? Any guess? Yay. So this is, Tento is here, board. I happened to go there. I had my family visiting, so I needed something. I went to Koilapaliyam. There was a more than 20 minutes, more than half kilometer jam.
Last week.
Yeah. Fine. So we can always say, we can argue that this is only happening 3 days, but I don't think so. This is a pattern which is picking up and it will keep on picking up more and more. Huge. So there is a proper jam. I had to park my bike on the side, wait. Then I used phone and camera to, I said I will record this just to see. It's proper, you can see full jam. Still far away from almost close to Koilapaliyam main downtown or bakery side till further here. Many eateries, somebody was saying, people have counted, I don't know, some 70, 80 eateries, eating joints between Koilapaliyam and which is now touching almost Certitude side. So it's a very flourishing situation. When we talk about ground reality, it is something you cannot wish to ignore. These elements are dictating many of the planning related episodes in and around. So the point I am trying to make, we need to develop our capacity to take care of our internal affairs. So something like this could be a test case. If we don't flex our planning muscle in terms of learning how to collaborate, our capacity to interact, deal, or even take care of these forces which are very much around today, they will all increasing at a much greater and rapid pace. We will not have that capacity. As simple as that. So this is to be also kept in mind. We cannot wish it. The situation is not same in 1968 how things have started. It is changing. So what is Hoj Khas village? Apart from all these things, all artists, freelancers, small business, all this has come. Sounds very familiar what is happening within 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers from here. This is some images from Hoj Khas. Some of you may have visited, I guess. You can visit. So the major concerns are haphazard land use, narrow streets, violation of building codes, litter from emergency services along the lanes, unsanctioned building plans, unchecked commercialization, improper solid waste management, insufficient sewage infrastructure. So this is what is happening, but the people, those who study planning, development and related concerns, this is very normal. This is not a rocket science. This is the way development, particularly in South, in India, not South India, but in general South has been happening like this. So we are in the middle of, as I mentioned, if you see from Mahabalipuram to Pondicherry, it's a recreational belt, so Auroville is a green park. Auroville is a green park for that recreational consumers. You like it or not. What is our response? This is what we are trying to figure it out or work towards. But all the people, those who come to Pondicherry, a daily visit, a larger visit, longer visit, activity engagement to Auroville is a given fact. So how all this also contributes to the economy of Auroville is also, I think, fairly well known. Perhaps a bit more articulation of that can happen. Our guest houses, vehicle rentals, mobility, all these many activity, our eateries which are full, all this is catering to a large emerging visitor requirement. And it's very real. There is nothing artificial about this. Sharing of resources, consumption of water, energy, all this is directly linked. I touched upon this point yesterday. We are in a super tight, super rather hot emerging development context. Idea is not to scare anybody, but also not to be so naive as if we are dealing with only a small population with small concerns of issue. No, that is not the case here. Your access roads which you have seen, they are not fit to take care of requirement of, as and when we are 50,000, the surrounding area will be easily 5 lakh plus or more. None of the existing road can take care of any of this road. On this day when I was shooting this video, somebody, known Aurovillian, staying there, they told me till 11 o'clock in the morning they had 3 accidents. It's a matter of time, bit more fatal accidents will happen, may happen, and that will again strain our relationship with the surrounding villages, because we are the drivers of this growth. So equations are going to change very dramatically. This is already happening. We don't pay that level of attention to these things, but this is happening. I don't know if we can show, somebody can show from Lavinier or what is the land purchase map, who has bought the land in this area. My personal kind of guess is the available free land here, whatever it is, 80% of that might be by the third party, not related to either village, not to Auroville, mostly hospitality sector, some rich people for farmhouses. My guess is most of this is already gone. You don't know it today, that's all. One day when they will start building, you will see ground floor, first floor, third floor, they will come within 5 to 10 years. As simple as that, it's not very far. And then we are talking about sharing of resources, water table, huge development. It's a matter of time, it's not very far. And these concerns have been expressed in different forums in Auroville since beginning. But I think we had a certain planning level, a skill capacity. It's a very real life challenge what we deal with here. This I had touched, so I'm not going. So this is a likely scenario. So roads are getting shaped up already here. 3-4 roads are getting connected. This is also getting connected. All this is quite also plotted here if you go for cycling or drive in this area. Most of this is quite taken care. So this is our also part of ground reality and development context. Vidyan Chavdi, how it is growing. So typically all the kind of shops, development, selling of property, restaurant, same hodgepodge behavior. This is a cafe, food, wood, all this is coming. This was a study done by one girl while she was in Lavinier long back, so I just associated with her. This I showed yesterday how it is growing. There was another study which was done, the growth management framework. So I have been concerned, and why I have been concerned after leaving so-called, let us say, taking a step back from active planning engagement, not being a part of the group. It is very much clear. The work profession is dear to my heart. Auroville is also, like all of you. So I thought I could use my whatever temperament skill to get the planning level input studies for Lavinier or communities. As and when our society, community is ready, you have something ready in your hands, you don't have to start digging the well when you are thirsty. That will not work. That is not a very intelligent sign. So in my own capacity, in association and some collaboration, so I have been working on some studies, not trying to say I am the only one. Many people have been working in different ways in Auroville to contribute toward this study. Now, how do we take these studies forward and ahead that organizational and institutional gap remains? And that's the challenge. There is no dearth of studies. Absolutely. We have a huge talented the people's gathering here. So if we can figure that out, I think that remains our challenge or the equation of human unity. So this, whatever I am showing you the studies which are with me or mostly what I am showing, I have them ready with me. I have passed it on to Lavinier, organizer of this event or gathering. I have sent you something today. More if required, just come with your pen drive or hard disk. More than happy to provide. One of the points which became very clear, and this was highlighted also by Mr. Doshi, I would like to mention, during his first interaction. Need of social landscape places. How and when do you meet in this community with each other in a relaxed way? Do you meet with a group of people, not personal friends? So we might not have realized because we are living in a nice, tightly pressed environment many a times. We know the challenges also. But if you see the way we interact is this. We can always express as we want. All kind of freedom is exercised here. We publish this. Many people work towards this. We have this. We have Auroville radio which can record many things. Many things. These are just to show these are the ways in which we have been interacting. Even the meeting of this, what is happening today, it is a very agenda oriented. Information is being shared. We are learning, exchanging, but it has a focused goal which is absolutely fine. But the point which came out also during the interaction with Mr. Doshi, our so-called decision-making system is very participatory. But we are not meeting with other people of community in any relaxed setting ever. We are always meeting in some meetings and gathering. Agenda is heavy on your mind. You have to put your point across. So the chances of learning and exchanging becomes very poor and thin. Because I have to communicate this point and then I have to go. I have some other things to do. So is with everybody. So this need was recorded. So this is also my input to the people, the architects, those who are working on this. So a need for social interaction, landscape places is one of the key here in Auroville. If that can be incorporated by creative ways in design, I think that is the one point. So our knowledge resource system is very rich, but how we interact with each other, we are quite tough, no, on each other. This was the last studio I did with the Sept Winter School. It was Crown Urban Design. This also is available. I'll be happy to share the kind of information which was provided to them. We took two sectors because development is concentrated here. So if you try to tackle them, again a small mini lab and develops all these facilities, maps, whatever data is available, I'm happy to pass it on. Or when you work later further, this is an introductory level presentation. If you want to interact, I'm around, I can interact later. Where are the community facilities, list key of community spaces, where are they located? All those basic material was prepared by our office and it was shared. And this is, this may be a bit interesting through the architects. So, there was here headings, but I know. So this is Roger's galaxy plan, the part of ground design, fine? If you see. What Roger himself detailed out later, he detailed out two zones, cultural zone and international zone. So that detailing is reflected here. This became this, fine? Then this is DDP. DDP by Luis Feducci, he was given by Lavinier. I don't know how many people have seen that, studied it. Is it part of the package which has been shared or somewhere as a resource material? I would personally recommend that you should look into that. I find it, we may of course disagree on multiple points, that is not critical issue here. One of the very good study I liked personally, what he had done or at least attempted, He has tried to integrate all the layers, whatever has been given to him from Auroville, water, soil, mobility. So the way he has tried to put together and produced very, very detailed, very thorough work. So I think it is worth seeing, referring. So it is good if you see there's quite a lot of resource material, and chances are I'm missing out few others which others may have. And this is our existing ground situation. It might have gone a bit more up. So we had taken this stretch because this is the need. I mean, if you see sector 1 and 2 are developing, if we can demonstrate here, if we can weave something, so that is the need, one of the needs. This is from his Luis Feducci's work, very detailed, he calls it land development unit, specific parameter, coding, a number of people, areas, height, ground coverage, everything, all it is there. So there are 2 books. This is a kind of a detailing. These are the plot boundaries, the way he has found out. These red are the numbers, codes for each plot, something like that. So if people have not seen it, I would suggest have a look. Key community spaces, where they are located, just to see in relation with each other. There is another work which was done also by Bankim. He was 2000, after 10, 11, I guess, something like that. Sector 1 and 2 studies, how different facilities are in how much walking areas. So this study is also reasonably resourceful if people want to have a look. Another learning activity which I had seen, Auroville Green Practices Group Consulting had started long back. Most of you may be here that time. They had organized a bicycle-friendly Auroville. So the point I'm trying to make, many learning activities, the outcome of these have been useful to Auroville in one way or another. So if we can align, there's a huge learning, what would you call, community waiting outside to be engaged with us. So if we know how to tap, so like if your sockets are ready, the people can come and help charge. So if we can create that possibility, I think that would be a very good possibility.
In this one, we had used DREAMWEAVING.
Yes, so good that you pointed it out. There was one more with the Canadian students I had done. So Auroville Sustainability Indicators. I did in all 4. One was the Crown, Auroville Sustainability Indicators, Green Belt Settlement Planning Parameters, Urban Framework. There was one more I'm missing. Let me remember. So how the exchange has been, all this is a part of learning exchange, as well as this also has been providing to economic sustenance to many of us. This is the interaction happening of Canadian students with the then planning group. Saurav was part of this member, Toby is there. So all the inputs, so all this has been, these have been, I would say, rather well organized. All input, diverse input, different viewpoints, sessions, lectures, talk, visits, all that has been happening the way it happens in, I would say, in any decent college. So the point I'm trying to also highlight via this is, these are all activities which are happening in Auroville. So this is a bit of, if you see carefully, in the name of work, test, it's a very open learning environment, open university kind of a system. So if we see from a learning society perspective, it's a very rich scenario. And if we take that line and we use the component of learning for how do we learn or relate with each other while co-creating, and the input which can come via this for Auroville's manifestation, further research, I think that area is quite huge. These were IIT Roorkee students, those who came for one sustainability program. They are in Solitude. Okay, this is either double. Sept, they were also seeing farm as well as food here. This is Sacred Grove with Manu. This is construction, the lime construction. So huge number of resources. So some of them have been for a short visit. That is not the point I'm trying to put across. But there is a huge resource possible which we can tap into and we can develop. Many of them are looking for topics which can contribute to Auroville also. I know personally in Lavinier it is not easy to go deeper into the research by the existing team or any existing team, not this particular, because there is a fair amount of firefighting which happens. So the temperament to work on any topic in detail, generally the point energy gets missed out. It is not easy. So the support could be also created. David. some workshops which have been happening. These were also, I think, Canadian students. Another component, I'm just highlighting, this is one last point here, is these were the engineers, those who came for a workshop, alternative construction workshop. So what we tried to do, this is just continuation of the previous point. They wanted to learn alternative construction technology. These are engineers from Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh, and Nandanam. Shailaja has designed it, but they also had a need. They also had a need of one more boundary wall or something. So 30 are done.
30 is left.
30 is left. So I should use 10 minutes within 20 question answer, something like that. So we worked out a system which was win-win-win for all. So Nandanam got his boundary wall. They wanted to extend a bit for children. And this boundary wall and the whole experience was designed as an alternative construction workshop. So even the engineers got what they were willing to learn. The school got its wall literally free, the whole campus. So there was a good learning exchange. So like this, these are smaller dimension, what I'm trying to say. I'm sure many other people might have done much bigger work. All this is out of educational activities and exchanges, both in hard and soft copies. This is the hard work which has happened. Multiple soft level inputs are available. So there is a huge potential if we align, if we organize ourselves, the studies which we are not able to do, or even for the future, I think that synthesization can be developed. This was the work which was done with Canadian students, capturing the spirit of the crown, consideration for social spaces in Auroville. So the work what they have done, the guideline, how the notes could be created, I'll share that book again. The full book is there. So the people, those who are working, you can have a look and see what is relevant for you to develop your design consideration for that. Towards that, again, there has been a long talk for many, many years, integral design course in Auroville. Helmut has also written 2-3 page note. Many people have worked. Mr. Doshi also talked about. So the point I'm trying to make, if we take a learning society approach, it has a very good potential to link, which can keep it at the center of it. Development is anyway happening around it in multiple ways. And this can also give input for different activities in Auroville. Oh, I'm skipping this. This map is already shown. So this was done by Prashant in Sangat, Mr. Doshi's office, when all the layers were superimposed. So this is our, just to highlight why I'm showing you this is, Mr. Doshi had mentioned very interestingly that your decision-making structure is very participatory. So how do you create institutional memory systems around this? So the exhibition which I showed yesterday, part of that, I have shared the file link with Helen, is that there should be a place. So I think I would personally see and prefer if, apart from other things, if we could keep some place here which is a good reference. I'm not saying the reference, final reference, creative expressions and diversity is always welcome. But there could be a possibility where our community, the people, those who are there, those who join, they have some reference. So we don't have much physical references. So that also creates personal narratives, sometimes a bit too wild. So for our community, it is good if we can create the references, the exhibitions in some place related to planning. I'm showing you some of the studies which were there. This is the Luis Feducci study which he did. This is one urban design study for the Crown. I don't know if you are familiar. This was, did Lata present part of this?
Yeah, she mentioned.
She mentioned. So there is a study on the Crown done by the then Lavenier members. I think Lata, Anita and all, they were part of this. So this study is also available for your reference. Mobility, you have seen. He presented already, dream catchers. Are you presenting it or this is somewhere separately is to be seen? Dream catchers.
The dream weaving on the tramways was presented a few times in the lead up to this. It's quite possible.
Okay, for this gathering, I mean, I leave it to you.
No, we've shared the presentation.
Already shared? Yeah, I thought so.
There's also
So
video online.
there was one more, I think Lata mentioned about this. They have done an interesting work also in residents brainstorming session, what are the facilities required. So if you see this report also, the people, those who are working, you will see how you can integrate some of those requirements which can develop as a response while working on the Crown. I think it is easy to match. This is existing and condition report of residency sector 1 and 2 by Bankim. This report is also available. So all this resource material is available. I think should be available to you to go through. This is a paperback Helmut. I think he has discussed already on public spaces and development of Auroville's crown. Huge amount of database which you have already shared. I don't know, you might have taken from here, I guess, because this is already well compiled on mobility. It's a huge, for a city of this size and scale, the number of studies which are available, it is quite incredible, absolutely. So the synthesization of that or taking key point is careful task is to be done. There are some resources on integral planning in Auroville Wiki. This is AIH, our health center. So how they had also developed the response to the crown. What we have is this building here. So they had also thought, so maybe at some point in time, some interaction with Helmut may not be a bad idea. How they had already also on that part. Okay, great. So later, I already mentioned about the exhibition. This exhibition was supposed to be so-called permanent kind somewhere. We have still not reached, so that the reference is available to the community. There were ideas earlier on the, this is your drawing? Yeah. I somehow remember. So there were idea of even solar kitchen plaza, those activities. So some of these things on the crown and social landscape places, so these are some of the inputs which are there. I'm sure you might have thought in your own ways. What are the needs of community and both present. These are the markets which have been happening. Nobody would have thought that this can also happen here.
This is part of the bicycle friendly workshop.
Well, I'm not sure whether it was exactly for that, but
No, I know, I designed it.
oh yes, this structure, yes. This structure, yes. I thought you organized children to sleep there. This I was not sure. This was part of this SEPT Urban Design Studio. So they had brought whole model of Kalpana, how this is relating. So all this was organized. This was a visit, the architect of Kalpana, explaining the whole, how the design principle, material choice, everything. Then Suhasini also explained to the same group Humanscape, because it is also on the crown. So what is, how it has been designed. So all these inputs, this kind of possibilities, they exist. So if we can make use of them, just put it there, one of the material in the study, but if you people already have seen access, it's fine, up to the Dreamcatchers team to show. So these are some of the activities. If we see how our social interactions have been happening in community, different type of activities. This is also from some fair, some play in youth center. So if part of these activities, this is I think from circus area, I guess, isn't it? Circus part, no? So whether they can be there or some part of this in, around, side. Basically, if all of these images, I'm not trying to show what they are doing, but a need of community gathering space, I think is very much required here. The point was also, if you have a possibility of interacting with people in a much relaxed setting, chances are you will have a better dialogue. This famous dialogue of also Mr. Doshi in a film, which is there, no? Purpose of architecture is to generate dialogue. So if you replace the building or architecture, also the spaces and experiences. So if you could have the possibility of that dialogue in a relaxed setting, the chances are our harder meetings will get a bit softened and we may be able to make some more progress effectively. So it is to be seen in that context. So if social landscape places are taken into consideration, this is also, there are some of the places where our social activities have been happening of a kind, or gatherings. I think that was the last, I guess. Yeah. Thank you. We have.
Yes, so we have about 15 minutes or maybe a little more for questions. So, David, do you have any names for me?
Not yet. Put the hand up without me.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Julio, yeah.
Hi, Lalit. I'm Raj. But I'm a little bit disappointed not seeing some of the things that actually happens in Auroville. For example, you talked about social landscape. I absolutely agree with you. We need to have more of those, bit of a letting the hair down and having a conversation a bit more. But I do know that number of potlucks happens in Auroville. They're really well known. And I am in at least 2 potluck on a weekly basis. So there are plenty of things happens, just whether you're available, number one. I found that people in Auroville are quite busy with potlucks and so many other things. So there are other things happen, so I absolutely agree with you.
In my reading, you are only reinforcing my point. You are only you are reinforcing because these things have been happening, and if we could provide a bit more different, I'm not saying better organized organization, but let us say more places for these occurrences, the chances of community interaction, healthier interaction will increase. So when you can sit across a person and talk about the issues which may be heavy to your heart, at least there would be a possibility to see each other's perspective in a relaxed setting as against in a 1-hour meeting when you have to give your opinion and go out. So then that time your state of mind is, I think, a bit different. That is the premises. So yes, we should increase more, and I have been to some of these potlucks. We have also been organizing potlucks in Courage, which is one of the biggest community of Auroville, perhaps maybe the biggest. So being a member of that community for almost 14 years, so we organize many potlucks. So I am aware of the community living flavors, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Lalit. I would say that the need of peaceful and meaningful exchange of ideas in a relaxed context is actually the need of the hour. And I personally feel very much comfortable when it happens in the open. Yeah, of course, due to maybe environmental constraint, it can be also good in a closed environment. But this goes together also with the idea of the plazas and so on, which should be always part of, seen also as that. Now, coming to the dream weaving, I'm so...
You can come here.
I'm so glad, sorry to say, not to be part of the design team, because you guys, you have something immense in front of you. And I'm amazed at the quantity of studies and data and so on. So my question to the dream weaving architects is, not to you, I just thank you for your input. How are you going to do? I mean, the task is, no, it's on a practical level. Are you going to sub-working groups, small groups? How you divide the, somebody is going to take care of the mobility in each group? I'm just curious. I'm sorry. Maybe you don't, depending on the, on what's in the room next. Thank you.
Even before you finish the sentence, Omar is about to print a plan there.
I'll speak to you later about that one because we're talking about this.
Yeah. Now, the point, if I just put it, there's a huge amount of input available. And we are familiar, and I think perhaps one of the things could be, if we relate, we agree on what are the community's requirement in that sense, both immediate and in foreseeable future. Around those thematic areas, design expression could be vary, but if we take care of those key concerns, key elements, I think that will be a nice way to reflect upon or build on.
With all these studies that you have had done, I was just wondering, because something which I haven't heard in the last couple of days is the projected amenities which will be needed for the next couple of years, next whatever, 10, 20 years, and sort of the spread of them, which maybe that we can figure out, but it would be very helpful, at least for me, to know like what kind of amenities are going to be required. Is there any study done on that?
You are talking about within Auroville context?
Yeah.
Within, okay, so one of the study I think is this residents brainstorming session. Perhaps that has something, which was done by the Lavinier of Anita's, and there are some other people. So that study has. Bunkim's study of sector 1 and 2, that also has So now, how do we relate and come to some common ground about what is required? That can also be a subject of creative debate. On some count, we may be already over providing few facilities, but on another count, we may be having less. So how do we go ahead with this? Maybe we start with some list which is already available, and something can be bounced to different organizational or groups. Actually, some amount of, I would say, very thought out, detailed, elaborated discussions are not there on some aspects. So like I would imagine input should also come from groups like FMC, the school, sports, other groups. So those compilation of all of them in a very fine format, I'm not sure if it is there, but something is there. See, again, there are two things. If you go by the planning number wise, you can easily assess. We had done long back, I don't remember offhand, that for this much population, for this scale, for this node, for this activity, you may need this kind of facilities. So that exercise has been done multiple times. But if you see Auroville, in some areas, we are rather too much well provided. We may be ahead of any normal standard system. But in other areas, we may be lacking. So something like this. And the whole thing is also linked. So the input at this point would be to the people working. You will have to see many things linked. Why I started touching the first part of even regional and tourist infrastructure, but because the impact of that, the nature of activity, the way people are coming to Matra Mandir, economy it is generating, and their requirement, which may be seen also as developing our service nodes, they are directly linked. They are directly linked. So we cannot wish it away or compartmentalize too easily. So things are linked. So if we can develop the habit and ability of linking and providing them, I think that is the way we can make some inroads or secure what is to be developed. If something particularly comes to my mind, I'll share with you or organizers. Rajiv.
Yeah, thank you for a wonderful presentation. My question was, actually there were two comments. One was, I think you have a lot of social spaces. You have all kinds of facilities which don't exist, as you rightly mentioned, in most other parts of the country, in most cities, most towns. The problem is they're all dispersed. There is no concentration of things that at one point, a lot of things come together. People, by chance, encounter each other because they have to visit that place.
I agree.
And so if you had one place which was concentrated, which everybody had to pass through or had to sort of visit and pick up stuff from there or whatever, or it was a meeting place, things would automatically sort of spread from there.
I agree.
And I think that's a major this thing. The other one is that when you have such large spaces, you also need population. So, I mean, dispersal and lack of population or critical mass of population both lead us to the kind of situation that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
The second point that I wanted to make was about, you know, I've been seeing so many wonderful ideas. I've been seeing from the past 3 days, we've been seeing ideas after ideas after ideas, and I keep wondering, is there no mechanism that exists? Is there no backbone of management and organization that says, okay, here are great ideas, okay, now which ones of these let's start implementing? So the gap between trying to implement something and then that starts connecting to your economy, to the finances, to not only about the idea or design, but it talks about all these linkages which are absolutely missing. I mean, it seems to me that it's like a regime change, you know, every couple of years there's a regime change and everything starts from scratch.
Sort of.
And so you end up by not doing anything. I mean, we have a wonderful library. That's all we're going to have. So I feel that unless we put into place that backbone that says, these are critical areas for us and we need to take action, they may not, even if they're haphazard and they're not exactly according to plan, but there'll be life. What's happened is that because of that, it's robbed of any life or chance to make things happen. So those are the 2 points after looking at your presentation.
This is very, I think super appropriate, and that is the context we have been living in, many of us. So just to also paraphrase in a different way, my own reading is, if I particularly refer to the first part of my presentation, how the surrounding development is very, very strongly dictating the terms, you like it or not. It is dictating the terms. We can. So I refer it to our capacity, our ability to relate with that and come together. So I think we just don't have now the luxury of holding our own preferred viewpoints and perspective. We just don't have that luxury. We have been utilizing that freedom in that sense. I don't think we have that anymore. Already things are getting quite compromised, and different level of upheaval or internal unrests are very visible. All this I relate, if we work out a system, we commit to that we work out a platform or a system where we can lay down all the things full buffet. These are the different, even differing ideas. This is community need requirement, not only for now, for next 20 years, because the development which I have shown and highlighted, they are going to impact very strongly for long term. Absolutely. So if we can relate with that, maybe it is there where people like you with a professional background and experience can also help us, because I think without that kind of a system in place, people have been trying. Like I always have high regard and sympathy for the people, those who have been passing through the doors of Lavinier in their own good interest, but this is where we have reached so far. So, but from now onwards, in order to change the gears, like this particular workshop, this opportunity is again one of those golden chance. If we can figure out a way to integrate our differences and align the forces somehow. That's a very real life challenge, absolutely. And again, I go back to, if we can't do it, you already have a proposal.
We have one last question.
Yeah, it ties very much in with what Rajiv just said. And you responded when, in all your compilation of all the work that has been done, I always miss something which was, I think, in January 2019, Auroville A Way Forward, which was, for me, next to the retreat in 16 and all, but it was such a tremendous experience of Aurovillians from all walk of life, all nationalities, a lot of participation from local Tamil Aurovillians coming together for a week and working on governance, water, planning, guided with the input of really internationally practicing renowned planners and architects. And somehow it almost fell completely true. It's not mentioned anywhere somehow, and it's not really a question, but it was great because it was 1 week and there was such an opening, and suddenly this is all gone. And it's not mentioned anymore, and sorry, maybe you overlooked it.
I think you are referring to retreat, no?
No, 2019, Auroville A Way Forward.
January sessions, I think.
You had Joachim Eble from Germany, Herbert Dreiseitel on water, and it was such a wide event. And it was like, I know Oma and all, they worked on something which was like holistic town planning. And it was like, wow, if that's possible in 4 days, why are we not carrying on? And immediately after that happened, it was buried so deep somewhere. And maybe you found it again. I don't know.
This is, I think you are hitting the point very well. And in a way, Rajiv is also highlighting. And I'm not saying, let this be the last presentation. There are many more people. But this point, I mean, keep on producing the studies is not giving me an extra joy. I have been doing it because I could see Lavinier will not be in a position to do this. I'm in a position because I like it and this relates well. Let this input be there on the table. When we start discussion, there is something there to start discussion. You don't start digging the well. Just you have some material to go through this and develop. So we as a society have not reached that organizational point. So this workshop may also enter into those waters. This workshop may, because what will you do? 4 people, super enhanced, there is a challenge, something is hanging. If you don't do, somebody else is ready to do. We have seen that season. So you will produce something. I have full faith and best wishes. I'm sure something will come out amazingly well. But if it is going to be the, again, repetition of the same cycle, it is not fun. It is not helping us go forward anyway. So it's a real life challenge if we can make a breakthrough of that kind. I think it is more of a that. So it's a real test of our community, our abilities, capacities to come together and do creative work. Individually, we are very creative. Collectivity has been challenging task, no?
I mentioned it because it was such a collective effort.
But again, not to demean that, our capacity to carry forward collective works has been not so great. It's a very real life observation. Yes, Peter.
I'm so dreaming, the official dreaming of the galaxy in pure. And that was a big drama at that moment. It was really at a very difficult moment also. So many political things came together. And from that time onwards, now it's so good that you remind us, this politicization, but on a spiritual or whatever ideological ground, that started at that time because one side was shocked by an input from outside which was fairly neutral or not neutral because it was maybe too green or too ecological, whatever you say it. But I mean, these points have to come to the table, and this is the occasion now to do it. And I'm not on any side, but it's a main issue which is always cutting us since 40 years in two.
Okay, I think we have to close because we have to go to the next speaker, if Sophie is ready. But any other questions for Lalit, just write down and we'll send to him. So thank you, Lalit.
Thank you. I hope it was some useful in some way.
I think we have 5 minutes.
Maybe
Jitesh just to go to It's okay, because she's still setting up.
Okay.
Luigi.
I think it's literally 1 minute. So.
Yeah, Jitesh.
Both are orange
just,
today.
Just a thought about the process of taking it forward. I mean, you've been in L'avenir, and many people here have been in L'avenir, and it's like an official, planning body. But apart from that, I wonder if there could be like there's a water group, or like there's a group which is a little bit more open in the sense, has the time and the energy which is not pressured, because L'avenir is always, the external, internal pressures going through, but a body or a group that really looks at, putting together this research, putting together these ideas, just kind of connecting the dots of the studies.
I can give my present day practical kind of a situational response. But I feel the emerging situation, if we have people like Rajiv and his team, fine, they can be the reference. They can help us in certain things, certain prioritization. So whatever input we have to provide, whatever even data we have to provide, if we can take it through them, so like they become your technical partners of a certain kind. It's fine. So lots of material idea, what are the community needs, requirement, we are aware. So if we can bring it all together and complete the cycle, what I have seen, many a times we have not been able to complete the cycle. We have not been able to complete the circles. So there, it is like always open-ended affair. So that has been very challenging. So if we could work on those elements also, where community could be engaged, and I think it is possible. It is not a rocket science, but to hold the space for next 1 year, I will put it that, hold the space, then people also commit. And if they need some support, their support should be provided of any kind, whatever, even if maintenance, anything, whatever is needed. Because if people are not available to put that kind of energy, then again it is left to few. Few can do something else. So it becomes a very complex affair. So it is a kind of collective resolve issue also, to be available and work on it.
Okay, it seems we do have 1 or 2 more minutes whilst we set up the technical, as we have Andrea joining us via Zoom. If anyone has another question.
Hello. Thank you, Lalit, for both your presentations. So my question is around, like you mentioned yesterday also about how in planning it has to be, zoning and in zones or in phases. Like when it comes to planning, we do the planning in zones and phases. So as per your understanding and expertise, what would you suggest the need of the hour when it comes to creating spaces? Like the need of the hour in terms of, do we need more of residential or institutional and etc. So, and why?
Well, I don't know which comment of zoning you are referring. I just mentioned there are zones in Auroville, but they are predominant land uses. They are not isolated or rigid zoning concepts, the way I see. So it is to be seen in that context and elaborate. And already if you see there are multiple things happening in different communities. We have residential pockets. You have to also see what we are today is, though important, but a small number of population is there and much more is to be accommodated. So planning's job is also to make sure, at least to ensure that there is a provision for the future growth and development. So that is the one part. Second part is what is required today. I feel, of course, this social landscape places, the combination of that, bit more living together experience, taking the point of Rajiv further. So we are still quite scattered. So living together teaches you or opens you to some other dimension. So the way we are living today, it gives us a certain freedom / luxury of avoiding each other. So in a way, we are postponing our learning. So if the conditions, circumstances, by designs are also created that people have an opportunity to interact with each other, this can perhaps pave the way for healthier discussion, interaction. And I think if that dimension or that environment is created, that can lead to a better creation. This is somehow I also see. So that is a one level. If we can create the condition for holistic dialogue of some kind. This is one. Institutionalization of few things or the facilities is, of course, I believe that would be helpful. We are very rich in terms of talent as a community. So if that can also be taken to next level, everybody is making various individual efforts, and I can see and sense many people are also tired. Many people are tired, they're putting their energy also outside. So if we can find a way to utilize that talent and channelize that energy and resources, people are very resource rich in terms of what context and possibilities they have.
Okay.
So if we have a framework, if we can develop that framework in which people can give their input, energies back to Auroville in an organized way, I think that will be a great solution if we can work towards it.
Okay, thank you, Lalit. We now need to move on just to test the technical before we come to Luigi and Andrea. So thank you, Lalit.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Lalit.
So just to say we have one speaker or two speakers left speaking together, one in person and one on Zoom. And we have 1 hour left. So Luigi, we have to be out of the room at 4 because there's a Sri Aurobindo talk happening after. So we may ask you, we may remind you when it's coming close to time. We have a bell, we will ring that at 30 minutes at 45.
Andrea, can you hear me? I don't hear you. Are you muted?
A Latin way. Oh, Luigi, stop it.
Aditi will be shouting at you, not
yes.
me.
Ah, yes, yes. She knows me and she will squeeze me if I
Okay.
go overboard.
So whilst we're just finishing the technical, I'll just introduce the next session.
Yes, can you hear me? Please.
Yes. Yes. Just make sure you're awake for this last session.
Okay, no, it's not. It's on?
Hello,
Okay.
can you hear me? No.
We'll start without
Okay, so why I don't hear him?
I don't know. I can hear you perfectly.
Oh, he's here. Okay. I think I hear you, but it's very, very
Low?
low. Oh, better.
Now
Yeah, okay, cool.
Now it's better?
Yeah, it's better now. Okay,
Okay, because I changed some regulation here.
we are
Probably
getting
this is
there.
good. Okay, that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah, good, thank you. Okay, so Andrea, which camera is on the screen now? Not this one, that one. Okay. Who's on this? Venki, can you zoom? Okay, Andrea, we have to tinker a little bit, like do some kind of jugaad. So you are going to see your presentation. Do you see your presentation right now on my window?
Yes, but it's not my, I mean, it's not my computer, it's your presentation.
Yes, it is.
True?
But then if you see it, then you just tell me when to go to the next slide, okay?
Okay, because I changed it a little bit, but okay, I will
Do you want to share your own screen? If you share your own screen, it's better for me.
Oh, let's try, okay? We can try in right now?
Yeah. Let me just enable the screen sharing. Okay, now you should be able to share your screen.
Okay, let's see. I'm sharing. You can see it?
Yeah, I can see. So the screen that you are sharing now is, voila, amazing.
Okay, actually it's the same presentation, but with some changement.
It's perfect. It's exactly what we need. So then you're in control of your own slides, yes?
Okay, that's fine.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay.
Yay. Where is Andrea? Why I don't have Andrea?
Yeah, I'm here.
Voila. Okay. Okay. Hélène, we're good. It works.
Okay, if everybody can come back in, we're ready to start the final presentation now. So just making your way back to your seats. So this final presentation is on the international zone, and we're joined by Andrea Camerata on Zoom, and he's a friend of Auroville, a professor of architecture in the Polytechnic University in Milan. He's spent much time in Auroville over the last 5 years and has focused his energies on the international zone. And joining him in this presentation will be Luigi, who's also focused much of his energies recently on the international zone and has been heavily involved in the planning and development of Auroville. So welcome, Luigi and Andrea.
I will.
Thank you.
Andrea is there.
Andrea is on the screen. Yes.
Please give him the full screen. You cannot?
Ciao, Luigi.
Ciao. You have more bird now. It has increased, Andrea.
Yeah. White.
Sorry, old friends greetings.
Like Santa, you know?
Of course he can. Of course. Don't worry.
I don't mind. It was just about. Very nice to see you. Are you fine? Your family health is okay? It's okay.
Welcome
Almost.
Italy, everybody.
Okay. I don't need any mic. Okay, Andrea, the ball is in your court. You please have the reference. You see that we are into the study for a strategic plan of the international zone.
Yeah.
Can we say
I'm in control of it.
Very good. Can we say that this is the beginning of DDP?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
so
please go.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very happy to be there, even virtually, but I can come actually in this period. This presentation is, as you can see in the picture here, is quite updated. But is late also because it's done in 2019 to the TDC. It was done before. But it's just to enter in the argument that lasted for 4 years work in my life in Auroville. Okay, so first of all, there are in this moment Luigi had TDC have many people in the room I think already have. The 4 presentation I did that are called T1, T2, T3, T4 about the work I did in very specific way. So there are almost 4 hours of presentation about that. So the slides are there and you can see them. This is a very short presentation because we need just to have short time. We did a very, just let me, okay. We did a very huge work of collecting information and analysis. An analysis about land, parambok, every kind of land inside the international zone and around the international zone. A full topography survey done by Giulio, a great work, I have to say. Then an analysis of geology types, soil erosion, every kind of surface water system, ponds, canyon, whatever, water catchment, complete afforestation analysis, also this done by Giulio and not only by our local expert about afforestation. We analyze all kind of parks, farm, nursery we have in the area. Obviously, we collect every information possible about the buildings, from the biggest in which you are, for example, until the last shed, and that's in the area, even the village. About the village, about Bharatipuram, that is actually inside the international zone area, we collect even there a lot of information locally with a set of students, with a group of students, about population, number, sex, occupation. You can see the picture. And every kind of information about all the houses, people resident, evolution and expansion in the last 15, 20 years. And then about the road system, the building, the toilets, really everything inside the area. Then population inside the international zone, and we are not talking about only residents, but also activities and active people inside. Occupied people, the tourist impact, the information are given by the visitor center, for example, and about all the fencing and in various forms we have inside the area. We did a huge analysis about the green and blue infrastructure. That means green, afforestation, parks and whatever, and the flowing water system or the pond system together. This is called green and blue infrastructure of the area. When we did a road analysis with also a traffic type of consistency analysis inside the zone and the areas with main risk for crossing for people and for pedestrian and not only. We collect the information about power lines, every kind of infrastructure present until the last of the trash bins that we found around, telephone and whatever. This is called T1 in the presentation that you can have and go through. Then we did another kind of work about collection of materials. So specifically about the plan of Auroville International Zone. We started from the talking of Mavar, from the writing of Mavars about Auroville, about the international zone, to understand deeply what is the meaning of international zone for Mavar and for the community. And obviously we go through the most known and renowned picture that is actually also maquette in this form, that is the vision of Auroville. The vision is also included in the master plan of Auroville of 2001. This is one picture of the vision. The vision is something that was evolutionary as far as it was the master plan of Auroville. We will go through this. But this is the dream of Auroville in terms of planning. Why I say that also the master plan was an evolutionary thing, because I found the first studies for the master plan were done in 1968. And so I started to analyze all the steps, evolutionary steps of the master plan until 2001. So the approved one, the last one. And I found that in this evolution, there were a lot of inputs, very important to understand the need and the sense and the meaning of international zone. For example, just as an example, in this picture, there is the international zone and the cultural zone together, that are very linked to the system of the university and with a university campus here and the University of Peace here, that now is called CIRU. This is something that keep together the two areas of Auroville, two of the main areas of Auroville, two zones. And in the same plan, we can see that was marked as a two-pole system in which international zone and the cultural zone, obviously, through Matrimandir, have to develop an incredible energy for all over Auroville in terms of cultural evolution and educational evolution. Then flying straight to the vision of the international zone, this is a slice of international zone you can mark here. Let me just see if I can. Yes, I think that now you can see my pointer a little better. So this is CIRU. This is the Crown Road around here. And this is all the international zone until here, around back, and up here. Okay. This is where you are actually, Bharat Nivas. It's something, you are something right here. You can see that in the vision, the area of international zone is full of green and blue. So the already told green and blue infrastructure. But this infrastructure is not, I mean, this is not a forest. In the vision of the master plan of Auroville, this is really not a forest. You can see it's a kind of garden system in which each cluster will represent a continent. It's very grouped, very solid buildings grouped together, and with all around water and green. Green in terms of, as we say, of gardening is not a forest. If you can see, this is marked as something like a forest. This is the international zone area, and these are, for example, as a reference, the gardening of a Matrimandir area. So you see that it's something in between, more garden than forest for sure, for the area. Then, as I said also about this plan, let me go back. About this plan, there are several versions, several steps of development. This is one. This is another that we transpond in digital, transfer in digital, but we have many of them. And so this is the international zone with property lines and whatever inside the GIS system. Then we discovered that there was another plan for the international zone, a master plan, done by Roger himself in 2006, 2008. Also, this is something that had an evolution of more than 10 years, I think. I discovered several versions of this. This is one of the latest, but is not the latest, for example, because the CIRU is not in the final position, and you will see, we will talk about Africa is very different. Anyway, in this plan, we have an educational part that is the entrance for tourists and visitors to visitor center area. All this area is an educational part. And then we have Africa. At the time, there was Eurasia, that means Europe and Central Asia, East Asia, America, and Oceania. And this is Africa, this is Middle East, okay? This was the distribution in this step of development of the plan, of the master plan of the area. Also, this is transformed in digital, and also here you can see that there are already some differences because doing this work, not by me, but by TDC and Jacqueline and the group of people working there, we already are inside the reality. While this is marked on pure paper, this is not reality. This is Bharatipuram village. So Asia, East Asia become to be Northeast Asia and Southeast Asia, divided by the village that is inside there. And a lot of our transformation. The most important also is Africa, that is completely different from the previous slide. Then we overlap the two plans, the two master plans, the general master plan of Auroville and the local master plan of the international zone. And as you can easily see, they are, well, actually totally different. The organization of the spaces is very different. The building system is very different. But a lot of other things are the same. And I will say the spirit, the readings, the text connected to the two plan is roughly the same. Maybe the local international zone plan is more refined about the needs and the use of international zone. But the spirit is really the same. But actually the shape, the footprint of the plan is very different. About the text, I said, we have a lot of information in the master plan of Roger of International Zone of 2006-8, in which he gives us readings about the sense of the International Zone, in which you can read it directly, I think, but anyway, International Zone gives the possibility to all countries assembled on the land of Auroville to manifest their contribution to global evolution of humanity. It must not be developed as an architectural manifestation offering the nationalistic and competitive spirit. So is nothing to nothing to do with an international exhibitions we can find around the world. Is a completely different spirit. The master plan will offer to each country within the frame and the system space allocated freedom for expression of their own spirit and soul of the country. But it's not only that. On another side, we saw that the facade will be an architectural simplicity using a common module for each continent or cluster. So as we saw, they are grouped together in continent cluster in which the module of the system of construction have to be one, the same. Since more in the interior design research, each country will be able to express its own character. So it's a continuous work in which we can see a system that is represented by the continent of the cluster and the single nation inside. Obviously, the repartition of the area is done by continent or anyway by cluster of nations. Sometimes the continents are not so defined easily in even in geography. I can jump. The role of international zone is to illustrate in a living, concrete manner how the principle of unity in diversity is to be applied in the world scale at a level of various nations and cultures. So this is very important. Unity in diversity. That means each nation is different from another, but they are united in a system of clustering. They are culturally united in a group of countries that actually are together even in an evolutionary way. They are grouped together. And they have to manifest very differently their own spirit inside a unity, but is inside another unity, that is the whole international zone. The purpose of the international zone is double: to present the great creation and discoveries and in all domains that contribute to the evolution of human consciousness, and to receive, as we saw in the plan of 1968, to receive an appropriate facilities for researchers of all subjects who are carrying out the experimentation within CIRU, so the Center of Research of Human Unity in Auroville, in connection with Auroville, all the laboratory system of Auroville, so the experimental system of Auroville, and its students. About all, to understand a little bit more and deeply, I analyzed with the help of Hanu, for example, and Natalia also about the archives, Auroville Archives, the Bharat Nivas competition done in 1972. This competition, that actually is the competition that creates the actual Bharat Nivas, where physically you are in this moment, was done directly under the guide of Maverick. So we have also from there a lot of input about what have to be done and what have not to be done inside the international zone to represent the spirit of a country and of a continent. Bharat Nivas obviously is about Indian continent or anyway subcontinent. So a larger sense of the country, of the India country is the Indian area. And we can see some text in which I kept this information from this competition. We contain a cultural pavilion representing all the great cultures and worn identically intellectually in ideas, theories, principles, and languages, but also in custom, art, in all forms, sports, diet, gardens, and whatever. So is very inclusive, this sense of the spirit of a country, the spirit of a nation, the spirit of the continent. Very inclusive. Everything, every cultural music, from music to diet, to gardening, to afforestation, everything. The representation must be also symbolic about the spirit of the nation, in this case, India. And the architects and the people working to this competition have to get information from the past, from the historical buildings, but have to renew renew this idea in a dynamic way. So to really have a dynamic expression of art of the buildings, and not something recalling directly to the past of the building. I think that time is very running, but other information about this renewing dynamism that is needed to be expressed inside the international zone and in this competition for Bharat Nivas. Also, from this point of view, we can get some more information about what it was intended with this cluster, with this group of nations, with this continent grouped together. And this information gives us the feeling that it's not just a collection of small country pavilions, but is something really more united and organized. Bharat Nivas actually has no single pavilion for Karnataka, for Tamil Nadu, or whatever nation in India. It's a group of buildings done and organized by common function that these nations need to express their own spirit and soul. So it's more a functional grouping around around the area. So about this, we will come back to this concept soon with a direct example. This is Africa. This is Africa. In one of the steps of evolution of the plan of Roger for the international zone. I got something like 5, 6 different versions of it. This is one of them. And you see it's more marked with national pavilions, all the same. But at the end, in 2008, I think, it came the plan done by an Addis Ababa professor, an African professor, for the African pavilion. And this is the plan done at the time. And this is a plan that Roger included immediately inside the international zone plan, master plan. And this plan, for example, is completely different. It's not. The nations are here, but all this area is a common ground in which we have library, auditorium, open air theater, area for food, hosteling, and whatever is all together. Then we have the single nations and an amphitheater also here. So it's a completely different idea of plan. It's more near to Bharat Nivas expression than to the original expression done by Roger, for example. We have a lot of studies about the international zone done by a lot of architects. Some of them, I hope, they are present in the same room I'm talking to. This is a work of Helmut about the European area. So the European cluster, and this is the center pavilion of the Europe in two different versions. This is just on the ground floor and the first floor. And this is another vision of the same area in which you can see anyway the water and the park coming in and out and giving to this built area with theater, restaurant, you can see here, hotel, exhibition area, language school, cinema, offices, and whatever. So all the functions, musical, grouped together, and then around we have the national pavilions. This is same study in, 3D manner from Helmut. We have another work of Helmut, is not inside the, is always inside the international zone. This is Unity Pavilion. This is Savitri Bhavan. This is the ring road, Crown Road, passing through, and this is the International Plaza, the corner of this, the juncture of these two roads. Another example, same in the same feeling, in the same idea, is by Roger, for example. This is the central pavilion of Europe in the vision of Roger, so this area, this, and all around the national expression. So the diversity and the unity. But the unity you can see is also in the shape and form and whatever. This is another study by Pino. And this is another study in the same exactly feeling by Pietro. Okay, I'm looking at my clock.
30
we
minutes
started.
Left.
Sorry?
30 minutes left.
Okay. We started a participatory planning process with the international zone coordination team as first, and then with all the clusters and all the pavilions together. We decided to have a kind of organization in which a group of technical people, such as me as first, we were called the International Zone Tech Team. Then we will have, we had a group of elected architects, one architect at least for each continent or countries or cluster, elected by the single cluster. So they have to represent them in their spirit and evolution. The work is done so by layering, we can say. A local architect and some international architect from each cluster have to group together with the people of a cluster living in Auroville and working in Auroville to give a shape to start to manifest in a architectural or in a way, a planning way of the spirit they want to represent on the area. And then this local architect, international architect group with the international zone technical team have to discuss and find a way to keep all this project together. This, in the spirit of this work, started 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, with the TDC of the time and the period. And after just a few months, we get stuck by COVID, obviously. The spirit was very good, and I think that the results we got in just a few months were quite important. I think that about this, I have no slides about this because I'm not updated as far as at 2 years I am not in Auroville. But on this, Luigi is very updated. So Luigi can show you and can give you the last update of each cluster. Luigi, as far as he is part of International Zone Coordination Team. So he can give you all the information about the developing, the works on design is going on, or was going on sometimes in the area. We gave to these architects a briefing, obviously, to work with the cluster people, with the international architects and whatever, to get together something that could be a common result, something that will be on the same layer, on the same level for all of them. We started with a road analysis, but it's very simple for the international zone. The international zone is based on one single road that is called Loop Road. And you can see here, this is Matrimandir, this is Visitor Center, this is Bharatipuram village, just to give 3 information in terms of geography. So this is Siru, in this area there is Siru. The Loop Road comes from Siru towards the Visitor Center. And this has to be considered as a quiet road, cycle path, electric way, vehicle road, and very silent one, actually. This is what is said in both the master plans, the master plan of Auroville and the master plan of Roger local. Then we have, well, the argument of this period, the Crown Road that is crossing straight the international zone. This is our part of the Crown. And actually divide the international zone in America, that is here, and Oceania from the rest of the area, but also unite the international zone to the rest of Auroville in terms of connection. And also is actually inside the master plan is the, we can say, the only road we have, because let's see, this is called the ring road. The ring road actually is in this area do not exist at all. And even this radial that you can see here do not exist at all. It's completely absent. This because we have Kotakarai here and Bharatipuram here, for example, that are perfectly inside this road system. So this road can't exist because I have to destroy a good part of Bharatipuram, and this road is very difficult, I mean, to realize because I have to destroy a good part inside Kotakarai village. And also this part do not exist. So actually we have said that we have just the Loop Road as a project and the Crown Road as almost a reality, but no other roads are in this possible plan are there. This is the tar road between, we can say, Avdi and Chavadi in this direction, and Kotakarai here, and the highway up there. This is the tar road, external to Auroville, actually. Okay? So if we have to say that the loop road have to be silent, pedestrian, and I mean, that means that we want the people coming and working inside the international zone, the future international zone, to fly, because actually we have no roads. So my opinion, my studies give me the impression that we need a second road anyway, that is more or less on the same way and the same path of the ring road, external ring road, but is done for actually our purpose. And we can see here the purpose listed on the screen. First of all, we have several farms in the area. The biggest one are Solitude Farm and the Yapari Farm, but need to have some vehicular traffic every day to load and unload, so lorry or trucks and whatever. Every kind of work need JCB, trucks, buses, and whatever, but there is no space, with no way to pass through in this moment. And in the future, if we do not build a secondary road, we just have the loop road, but will not be very silent with JCB trucks and buses inside. Visitors road, the same. We have just one road, so and all this good reason. This is a very sketchy idea of a road we were thinking of, and is, as we say, this was the original plan for the ring road, and we are partially following with several different possibilities. You see, different variety, a variety of possibility, because there are a variety of studies about this, to reconnect to the village. And we know that on the other side there is already a radial that is beyond the Darkali forest until the more or less here the Kali temple, and then there is a road going here to the village. So actually we can have a kind of connection anyway that keep this alive in somehow, or in this way or in that way. This road can serve all the international zone as a secondary road to help to develop and to live the area in a proper way. Also to avoid that a lot of people from the village every single day pass through this way. Every day it happens or this way in this moment. Okay, so this is about road. About habitat. Quickly, the master plan of 1968 said that 3,000 people are or had to be involved in the pavilions and zero system inside the international zone. The latest master plan said about 600 residents inhabitants. I think that they can be together without any problem, the two specific, because we need a lot of people actually working inside and helping to develop the international zone, and they could be all of them temporary inhabitants, so long term, medium term, short term people that come from abroad, for example, or even from India or whatever, to help and to study inside the international zone in terms of zero. Obviously, I'm talking about an evolutionary plan. I'm talking about a master plan. A master plan is something that I have to keep in mind from here to the next 5, 10, 20 years. So zero does not exist. But when it will be on the ground, it will need a lot of space to host research and experts, students, volunteers, and whatever. The international zone itself, to be built, need a lot of volunteers coming from abroad. So all these people could be temporary residents of the area, and these residents could be used and located to give a further shape to the area and some help to the area. For example, if you are talking that this road will be developed, we can put all these volunteers around the external road, while some residents could be given more internally. Yes.
Can you hear the bell?
Yeah, I can hear.
I'm really sorry because
I'm going to finish in a while.
You remember
really
that we were in a while means we have a coffee tonight and continue. What does it mean in Italian in a while?
No, just 5 slides and I finish.
Yeah,
just
but
5.
Andrea, I'm really sorry because each slide is very, very interesting. You did excellent work of going down into the reality. But remember, we want to keep some time for a conversation, for an exchange. And we have only, to what I am informed, only 15 minutes left, maybe now even 12 or something like this. Can you manage in 3 minutes to do the 5 slides?
I will.
Good luck.
Okay. This is a green and blue representation of the area. We studied it and we tried to make it more a green and blue master plan. So giving to this pathway, water pathway, something like water parks. And we did an example specifically about this area, that is the visitor center area, for it to be understandable, in which we studied deeply the argument and the plan with this water system continues fluently going around from up to down. There is a pumping system, there is a water treatment plant, all together to give this shape in terms of appearance and in terms of usability. These are just suggestions to you to understand what we mean with the water part. We've also all the technology is not, but the technology is not involved. You can see here and then this is just the last slide, but it's important to be understood. The three criticity of the area are just this: the connection and the relation with a village that is inside Auroville, and the interference and the influence of a village in this area is very strong and have to be managed very carefully. The interference of the tar road, external tar road, we saw before, that is a general road, general purpose road, everybody can go through it, but also this is a permeable border that we have to manage. And the third one and last is the relation with this, that is the line of force, the line of goodwill. But I know that Anupama, she is doing a fantastic work in terms of give a reality to this project, make it a more human scale. But anyway, we are talking about a series of buildings along something like 800 meters and with 10,000, 12,000 of inhabitants. So it's a huge thing, because if you think that all this area have to 3,000 people working in, only here there are 12,000 people living. So it's a border, is a limit we have to take care in terms of development because of the pressure and the future pressure we will have from this side inside the international zone. This is, I think these slides are the same, more expressed, more in detail. So this is the end of the presentation. We give to all the teams also some more information that Luigi have and the TDC have to develop all the projects together and in autonomy, but together with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
So we are now going to open for questions. Luigi, if you want to, Luigi?
Yes, I am there. You.
If you want to speak, please be on stage.
Okay, but not much because we have only 10 minutes.
Questions, people?
So simply, very quickly, first I found this work of entering into the preparation for a DDP, which, Andrea, can we say that maybe almost it's done, or there is also 10-20% to complete?
I think it's a little more than 20.
30%? 30? Okay.
Something 40.
Okay.
40.
Okay. But it has been a beautiful, beautiful exercise. Many of you have participated, and really it has involved, and it has been part of a weaving again, because architects were there and so on and so on. What is important is to complete this work, and we hope, Andrea, that either you come whenever you can or through any stream way, that we complete this. For us, it's very, very important for the international zone and for Auroville to complete the DDP. Are you ready, and do you think in the next 3-6 months you can complete that?
I can work on that if there is a team in Auroville working to this project. Elsewhere, it's totally impossible. I will be back in Auroville in July and August. This is from my side, it's already sure. But we need to have, as we had in the past, a solid team of people, of technical people working on this weekly. I want to say this, not daily. It depends how much we are in a rush to develop this. But a group of technical people, such as the one we had with Helmut, Omar, David, Ganesh, I'm just calling some names, but we were more than this.
Yes,
Okay?
exactly. So if you have the right people around you and create the team, it can be completed in 3 to 6 months?
You are very optimistic, but I mean, it needs time. It's a master plan. Is not a game on a paper. If you want to enter in detail on this, we probably need 6 months to have a complete work done if we work weekly or daily on this, and then other months to report it in a DDP manner that is more specifically in terms of graphic and drawings. But the most important thing is to have a solid and very real master plan of the area as soon as possible.
True. Okay, Andrea, all the best. Bye-bye, and maybe some other question will be there.
One question.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Why you want me to stay there?
No, I said...
Is there anybody we have time for one question?
Yes, to Andrea.
Yes, I can hear someone, but I don't know who is.
No question?
Okay.
David, yeah.
I don't know how quick an answer it is. You've given a great overview, I think, for Rajiv and his potential work on the DDP. But for the short term now, regarding the dream weaving on the crown itself, I'd be interested if you said a couple of words to how you see the crown itself in the international zone relating to the pavilions. Because at the moment, obviously, we have Savitri Bhavan, we have the Unity Pavilion, we have the Language Lab.
Yeah.
So those are existing structures. So is it clear what else of that nature is going on the crown itself as a link between the pavilions which are obviously on the inside of the crown and the pavilions which are on the outside of the crown, etc.? Like how are we seeing the crown as an intermediary zone within that links the two parts of the international zone while simultaneously linking the residential zone and the industrial zone through the international zone? So these are kind of different linkages.
Yeah, well, I try to answer you quickly. In the master plan of Auroville by Roger is clearly expressed that these two areas around the crown zone, on the left and on the right, so internal or external, as you want to see, have to be managed for functions that are very related with all over Auroville, not only local, while the other areas can be more managed in a local way in terms of the use of international zone itself. This means that the Language Lab is a perfect example, but also Unity Pavilion and why not Bharat Nivas and Savitri Bhavan are already there. Other functions like this could be put in this area as common function for all over the area. Also, the system of the clustering, so the various pavilions can have access to this part with a, small building or a part of it in which they can collect their own relation with all over Auroville on this area. So it's more a very public area inside the international zone, in which the international zone relates with all over Auroville and the external part of Auroville. So very specific function. As the one we have already in the area, we need more of that, simply.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much for that presentation, and I'm sure there probably will be some questions that arise, so people feel free to send those in and pass them to David, Omar and to us, and then we'll forward them on for response to Andrea and Luigi. So thank you very much, Andrea and Luigi.
Thanks to you.
Thank you, thank you. Greetings from Auroville. You are in our heart.
So
see you soon, I hope.
Thank you. So before we close today's session, I just want to pass over to the Dreamweaving team for some closing comments. So first to Mona, I think. So just short, 1 or 2 minutes each.
Okay. So I'll just, before I go, because I didn't get a comment, I get a chance, I just want to say that there's an archaeological layer in the international zone which was not shown, so please include it.
But I think in some map it has been included, and also the other one up there.
Yes, okay.
But it definitely has to be respected.
Yeah. I just want to make some closing remark as part of the Dreamweaving team that's going to co-facilitate for the next 6 weeks. All this information is a lot. I think it has become clear to us that we are not short of creativity, we are not short of technical inputs, of experts, of whatever, studies, everything is there. And we are going to attempt to integrate all this in a manner that, kind of manages to find a place somewhere where it doesn't just disappear. We hope so. But one thing I really got kind of struck me today after Lalit's presentation is, I don't know how many of you remember that meeting in the amphitheater many years ago when Guy and Gopi said that the house is on fire. You remember that, Luigi? Maybe some of you others will remember. That was our waking call, because that time it was the land of Auroville that we suddenly woke up, or I shouldn't say suddenly, but we finally accepted that this is not going where we wanted to go. And that was how many years ago? 10 or... Okay, more than that, yeah. All right, so whatever, it was many years ago, and yeah, whatever actions were taken, but I want to, really, that long back, okay, 20 years ago. So today, my feeling when I was sitting here and listening to all these conversations, I felt really, this is another such moment. And I really feel this is a wake-up call for us to come together. We don't have, like Lalit said, the luxury of holding our own perspectives anymore. And really, I feel like this is not the time when we can be divided over anything. We're losing it. And so it's not just about dream weaving, yeah? This is serious. I think so. I mean, I knew it was, but after listening to these 3 days and sitting here consistently and understanding all the different aspects, it kind of just, the coin kind of dropped that this is really not, this is not a joke. Like, I mean, either we make it or we don't make it. Of course, we must have the faith. We are here for Mother's vision, and we cannot lose faith, but we have to do our bit, And this may be the step in the right direction. So I really want to say, really, these divisions have to disappear. I know this is just a small group of people here, but I hope, somebody told me there are 600 people on YouTube watching us, and I hope a lot of them are Aurovillians, and all of us hold very strong perspectives, which are valid. I think all of them are valid, all of them are welcome, but we really have to find a way out of this conundrum. And I want to thank Dr. Jayanti Ravi that she's been sitting here all throughout and listening to all this. And I think she's been like a catalyst for us to wake up, and I know there are many opinions, perspectives from what you can look at the last 5 weeks, 6 months, whatever you want to say. But there is a reason why everything happens the way it does. And what we said yesterday, that the kala, the time has to be right. And maybe this is the right time. So I think we do have a lot of responsibility on our shoulders. I think a lot of people are looking up to us, this dream weaving process, to find a way forward. I'm not saying it's the last solution, but we have to give it a try again and kind of bring ourselves together, you know. I don't think that having more information, being more smart, having more technical inputs, being more integrative is not the answer. No, that's not where we are. The problem with us is that we are divided. And the moment we're divided, and you know, it's divided internally, nobody else is pushing us. This is not outside of Auroville. This is inside of Auroville. And the moment one side, you know, the so-called divisions, they're so-called, yes, because eventually we are all united. We're all here for the same reason, you know. But this so-called division just doesn't allow us to progress because we get stuck, you know, and we actually keep on, making these divisions deeper and deeper over the years. And now we don't have that luxury anymore. We just don't have it. You saw these presentations. You saw what's happening in Kulapalam. You can't close your eyes. Edian Chavdi, look wherever you want to do, you know. We can't say we want this and we want that and we don't want that or we want, no. We have to, if we have to find compromises, then yes, but we have to make this together. And I think this is my appeal and my hope and my aspiration that this process will start off something in this direction. Yeah, thank you.
Omar and David, do you want to add anything? A no from David, a yes from Omar.
I think yes from David also. Yes. Okay. Hello, everybody. Well, it has been quite 3 days, right? Yeah. So I go back again to what I tried to say, the message I tried to communicate in the opening session of this whole dream weaving exercise, which is the narrative. And I think we are doing it already. I mean, that we are in control of our own narrative. All of this talk, we cannot collaborate, we cannot work together, professionals cannot come together. I think we already started creating our own narrative that all of this is possible with good belief in ourselves and good organization for the amazing CA team. And it's not true. We have been collaborating several times before. It happened many times before. It led to amazing results. We are just doing it one more time on the scale needed for today. I believe in very short time, maybe 1.5 months, I'm very convinced we will come up with some fantastic results, and this whole talk about us able or not able, I hope I would never hear again. That's it. And this is the whole aim of this process. I see through this 3 possibilities of 3 weaves, not one. I came thinking that this is weave of ideas coming from architects, and that's one layer. But the second one that I see, when you see all of these amazing analytical work coming from all of these experienced people who has given all of this work, an even more important weave is the weave between all the multidisciplinary experts, and how those multidisciplinary experts, we invite, by the way, every one of them to the peer reviews, so they keep bringing all of this knowledge, so it's not only ideas woven, but also all of this heavy and rigorous analytical work coming to the ground. And then the third weave is the ecosystem and city, always for me, culture and nature. The best built environment is when you have integration between culture and nature, a city and an ecosystem. And I am very convinced it is very possible. And then the conflict becomes joyful exercise. It's not this or this. They can coexist and they can be in harmony. And Well, we came to create a city and we ended up creating a very developed ecosystem. Does this mean we cancel the city project? No. Does this mean we cancel the developed ecosystem? Also no. And then this becomes the main task of the designer, and the experts, how these two, culture and nature, coexist together. And when that happens, only then it's a very interesting built environment, yeah. Yeah, so this is the challenge, the big challenge. And hopefully in 1.5 months, we will make this kind of a statement, assuming that there will be peace in Auroville for the next, until it's done. Hopefully it will happen. I believe it will happen. Yeah, thank you.
So I think David doesn't want to say anything. Okay, so just before we close, Luigi's asked to share 30 seconds. But before that, I just wanted to say thank yous. David's not saying anything. He's happy not to. So I just wanted to say big thank yous to all the 21 different presenters we had, all the Dreamweavers. We hope you have enough information, hopefully not too much information. Thank you to the Vastu Shilpa Foundation team, and thanks to everybody else who gave their time to attend here, either coming in person or online. Thank you to Auroville Radio and Aurora's Eye for filming, and Bhumika Hall for hosting us, and everybody also in the community who donated to help us with the funds for this. So the next steps for the Dreamweavers, David and Mona are going to be speaking to them outside.
Thank you to the Citizen Assembly team.
Yes, thanks to us, yes. Especially Sophie. And yes, thank you. So Dreamweavers will be meeting with David and Mona. There's tea outside afterwards, and I think they just want to chat. And we'll also be sharing all the reports, all the slides, everything we've got so far. We're still waiting for some from TDC, I think, but everything will be shared when we get it. And for the public, we'll be keeping people posted very soon on how we'll get thoughts to feed into this process. We just need to have a bit of sleep before we work out how to do that and reach out. So just to Luigi, and then we'll have a moment of silence, and then we'll close outside with some tea.
Absolutely, thank you. In continuation of the beautiful and very successful experience of the dream weaving, at the peace table, around the peace table, the peace building team, which has met 3-4 times and will continue with very diverse people, we are exploring the exploration which we would like to discuss with you, to have a retreat following this beautiful experience, to go more in, even one step further. You have touched the planning, development, environment, but can we touch a larger issue, the 6 issues which are into